the first system that if you want to play like a Mike Wheeler or a Dustin Henderson, and you want to play something a little bit more what you're used to playing, but feels like what they're playing, that's going to be Shadowdark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, relatively new, coming out.
It's 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah.
Out from Arcane Library.
Okay.
Kelsey Dion knocked it out of the park with this, and it really, like, there was already an OSR, as anyone that's watched the previous episode as well, talking to Chris Gunnerman, he's one of the forefathers of the OSR.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I think really it was Castles and Crusades, with Troll Lord games that kind of really set the bar in motion of this is what it is, and that was their third edition.
One. Oh, that was third. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That was several years before fourth. And that's when I was doing research even for this or other previous episodes. I was surprised it wasn't fourth edition that kind of set off the OSR.
Yeah.
It was third edition.
It was third. Okay. And I can kind of see that. Like I said, I cut my teeth on third and 3.5, but my DM, we did a couple of sessions as like first edition D&D. And it was weird changing that. Or this is the first time I'd ever heard of like Thaco and stuff like that. And I'm going, Thaco? What's that? It's like, oh, it's 2-hit armor class 0. I'm like,
and that's
okay,
the one,
what is that?
and for the people that are watching and like, what is that?
Yeah, what is that?
Thaco is descending armor class as opposed to ascending, and that is something in Shadowdark they do not have. That they still kept the ascending AC. And in all honesty, when you talk to the people that were there back in the OG heydays of 1E, they actually prefer the ascending AC.
In my opinion, it makes it easier because you're going off of the die roll, and that it takes some of the math out of it. Because even to hit an armor class with Thaco, you could have a negative armor class, which was good. If you could get a -2 or a -3 armor class, you were almost invincible. Because and then you rolled, and so that's when they came out with like to hit an armor class 0. Yeah, when it comes to Thaco, having a negative armor class is really good, but it added math to it to where and yeah, no, that sounds like a lazy thing to say because all D&D is math. But you rolled a D20, you added your modifiers thing, and then you had to check a chart that was built into the character sheet that said what number hit a 0. I'm like,
and that is the essence of OSR, is the simplicity.
Yeah.
As opposed to a 3E or a 5E or a Pathfinder. You know, some people like way back when, like almost a year now, Oakley, Nerd Nook, he likes the Pathfinders. He likes the more complicated system. Some people like more simplistic system. Everybody has different tastes, obviously.
Yeah, talking about simplicity, got the Shadowdark book right here. This is it.
Yeah.
This is the player's handbook. This is the monster manual. This is the DM guide. This is it.
This is, I brought out the second edition book. This is the standard size of any D&D book.
Yeah, this is the more D&D. Yeah.
Look at this size difference.
Yeah.
It's a smaller book even.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not missing any of the content. And I even like that, just the style of it. The artwork is that old, like almost like woodblock print. It's built like to where if you were to open both books,
yeah, that's a
even the artwork and the layout are very similar sometimes.
Yeah, that's a 2E book that really started incorporating like more blues, but even in 1E books, it has that.
Yeah, this is definitely what I remember by picking up. Some of Granddad's D&D books, whatever. But
with like Shadowdark, like you roll to cast spells, and if it fails, it locks the spell till rest.
Yeah, you have to rest to get that spell back. Yeah, which makes sense when you think about how, like, say, a wizard does spells. He studies his spell book. He or she or they studies their spell book. And they have that spell now in their mind to where they just have to use the last few activation words and that spell happens. If you get up, yeah, it's like, I just got a headache, and now you can't cast that spell because you messed it up.
There's also real-time torches. There's a 1 clock hour, apparently. I don't know if I'd personally do that, but if I wanted to keep it that thing, I grew up in a more modern, I'd try it out. But
Yeah, or try
I'm
it.
a
Yeah.
big fantasy or a big component of like drift clubs of 3E.
Yeah. Well, that also files in, into my thing where like, okay, well, if there's real time torches at an hour, do you now
But
keep track of arrows and stuff too?
but the kids from Stranger Things weren't using light or drift globes or anything like that.
That's
They
true.
were
They weren't.
using
Yeah.
torches.
Yeah.
And
They were.
if you
Yeah.
want to play like the kids from Stranger Things,
You have to do that.
you have to
Yeah.
do that.
Absolutely.